Okay, 2041, good luck. Just adjusting my mouse cable there. So opponent has 8,800 games of Rapid. That's rather a lot more than I've done. 870. So what do we want to do here? Oh, bishop up's a move straight away. I like the idea that actually challenge the bishop. You can play a pawn up, drop back, you can trade. He does trade, so we could go with the pawn. Takes, check, or knight blocks, doesn't it? Just go with a queen. Okay, so I could throw a check in. No, I think I'll develop the knight. We're just trying to get castled and then worry about what to do, get a playable position. We've got b6, c6 and c5, but probably castle first. Okay, let's get that done. I'm looking at c5, just to challenge the center, but not sure. Okay, he comes up. Yeah, I think I like c5 now. I've just got to be careful in some lines about a check on the queen if all the pawns vanish, but I think c5 makes sense here, so I'm going to play it. Might not get another chance to. Okay, so take. He gets a choice. It generally makes more sense to trade into the center, doesn't it? Yeah, let's take into the center, maybe bring the knight into play. Then I've got to figure out what's going to happen with my bishop. Oh, now he's gone with the pawn. I'm actually going to take. He's got an isolated pawn now. We might not be able to work against it, but he's got it. So I think I'm going to bring the bishop up first. Maybe on the diagonal. Still the option of the knight. Knight down. I'll probably just develop my knight. Depends how aggressive he wants to be here, how bold he wants to be. Yeah, he played the knight in. Excuse me. So I think I want knight up here just to hit the pawn. I don't see anything better, so I'm going to develop. The 2 attack it, 1 defend it. He can obviously take either way. He has taken, so I'll take with a queen. Still 2 attack, 1 defend. So if he comes down, I think we're fine to take, but let's just worry about it when it's our move. If he comes down here again, we'll probably just take with a knight, but let's just see what he does. So he's played knight up, so if we take, we hit the queen and we hit the bishop. The queen is obviously well guarded. So trade, knight takes. It feels good, doesn't it? It feels like a nice trade. It feels better to take with a queen than with the knight. So I'm going to go with the knight. If you take with the knight, you're just walking into a pin. So he's gone across and guarded here. So rook across or pawn up are my candidate moves, as long as I've got somewhere to run to. I think rook across makes sense. If I bring the rook here and stack the king's side, not worry about this quite so much. Knight in could become a nuisance, so what about a6, preparing pawn forward? I don't think I want pawn forward. Now I do have knight across to hit the bishop. Where's he gonna go? No, I like rook over first. As long as my queen's got multiple paths to run to, should be fine. He might end up getting knight in, putting pressure on the pawns, of course, but we've gained a pawn, so we can give a pawn back. So I'd expect maybe rook across, and I'll probably play queen over. I'll get the cursor off the board so there's no accidental slips. Yeah, he has played rook across just the other one. So I like just a simple move like queen across. I mean, I could play queen here and offer a trade of queens again. That makes a lot of sense as well. Both queens are guarded by knights. Where's he gonna go if I do that though? Queen over, maybe queen up. Gives me a time to play pawn up, but not a lot else. No, I'm gonna play queen f4, I think. Let's just go to f4. Keep a little bit of pressure on the bishop. I'll pre-move in case he takes a rook. I don't think he will, but he could. He could play obviously a move like g3. I'll just drop the queen back, or maybe then go to e4. And at some point, we're both going to need to push one of our king's pawns to give our king a bailout square. Yeah, he has indeed played g3, so we could go to e4, offer that queen trade again. We can just drop back and see if he goes really aggressive with pawn pushes. I quite like the idea of that, actually. Here, knight in, I'm very happy to trade it. So let's do that and not burn too much of the clock. Just drop back one. As long as we've got multiple paths to run to, we shouldn't be getting trapped. It's whether he wants to really push his pawns forward and take a risk. And I might try and do the same on this side, but once I've gone forward, there's no reverse gear to come back. And again, I'm probably looking at h6, but he has got the light squared bishop. Oh, he has gone for that trade, okay. So why can't I just take that and then maybe a move like rook forward? If he plays f4, I can throw a check in. So rook up here, you just simply take, that does nothing. So rook up here looks like a nice move. I've got pawn up to guard the bishop. He might want to do something like this though, but I've got g6 I can throw in. So I'm just looking at rook forward with a view to doubling up. That looks nice to me. f4, I just check and get out the way, then double my rook up. And if he comes back, I push up, I think. Yeah, and if he pushes pawns forward and I'm in doubt, I can always just take the rook. So I'm going to go here to try and double the rooks up, but I can take if I'm in doubt and I need to throw a check in. Excuse me. So bishop back is a potential move, and then obviously I can throw in g6 to close the diagonal. But h4 or f4, I can play queen c5 check, or I can just simply take the rook with a check and then worry about moving my queen. And hope I'm not missing a nice tactic somewhere, of course, which can happen on any move. So he has indeed gone for that. So again, if the pawn comes forward, either of them, I can still take with check. So I think g6 is kind of forced here. So I'm just going to play g6 again. Either pawn, I can take the rook. Can't go across now. I could drop back, but I think it makes sense just to take the rook and then shift my queen somewhere. I think f6 feels like a very nice square. We get a tempo attacking a pawn. And then we'll try and bring our rook into play at some point. Got to be a bit careful with pawn pushes though, so I might need, say, h5. He could try and march his pawn down the board. So do I match that now? I think I probably should. Yeah, I think I probably should. I don't want that pawn wandering down the board. So king up could be a natural move. It's relatively symmetrical apart from the fact that we've got an extra pawn. So rook across feels like a good move here. He's putting the bishop defensive so we can challenge for the open file. Trade seems like it's good for us, so that's what I'm going to play. Okay, so he's got onto this diagonal now. So I can check and then queen here. So he goes here. Take, bishop takes. That's probably not so good for us. I'm looking at queen up then to hit the pawn. I've got queen here to hit the pawn, or I can check and go here, can't I, and hit two pawns. Which that makes sense to me. Let's check and then go here and attack the two. So we'll just drop back. We're going to hit two pawns. He's going to try and hit these. Still very, very difficult to try and win a position like this, and half of our time has already gone. So we're very even on the clock. Oh, he's offered a queen trade and a broken pawn structure. Well, that should be good for us. That's got to be good, hasn't it? If I get knight back and pawn on a dark square, yeah. That's got to be good for us. It's got to be the right thing to do. I just need to put this pawn on a dark square. But I think I want to come across here first. If he takes, obviously I'll take back. But I need to deal with these. They're all in light squares. That could become a problem. But once I've supported my knight, I can put the pawn in a dark square and then get the knight forward. But these are going to be an issue because he's got a light squared bishop and they're all in light squares. So Could become a bit of a problem. Well, he's marched a pawn forward. I'll bring the king up. Right now my knight's free to move, potentially, or my pawn first. Put the pawn at dark square first. Now the knight can move. He's just brought his pawns closer to my king, so he might try and work on this side. But it's really the bishop he needs to work with, so he's got to try and get the bishop around the back. Now he might do that, of course he might. Let's just see, but knight here is a very big threat. That pushes it into one. So he wants to go here. So knight up, pawn down is a very natural reply. I can check. If he guards, I can then come here, right? I think it feels like a nice move. So he's gone by the bishop to guard, so he's seen the idea. I think I'll just bring the king up now. Wait, I can check here, and he's got to go to the side or he loses a pawn, so that could be very useful. Then king up. Yeah, I'm going to do that first and see if he goes right to the edge of the board to guard his pawn. Now king up, and then I'll try and reroute something like this. But here, I can just bring the king up and he can't even guard the pawn. The knight across is a threat here, so I don't want him to take there. Now, I could go back or forward, but forward feels more instinctively right. Just threaten the pawn now. But they're all in light squares, like I say, so if the bishop gets around the back, he can mop them all up. So if I take, that's got to be a good pawn. We hit another pawn as well. I don't believe he can afford to give up the bishop here. Okay, so now I assume I just go here and attack the pawn. It's got to be right, hasn't it? It's got to be right. And now king up. And then we get two outside passed pawns. This should be winning. Obviously, we can mess up anything, but it should be winning. So is he in though? He probably is. So can I clean these up before he gets these? So here, his king moves. He needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. He needs 10 moves. 10. Check down. Oh, then I go here maybe. Not easy. I'm going to bring the knight back. Okay, now here he can go here, but he's actually in, isn't he? So I'm going to run my pawns and trust I'm getting in before he can clean up. I trust I'm going to queen before he cleans all my pawns up. I can't stop them now, so I've got to try. But he's got 1, 2 defensive moves here. Not easy to shift the bishop, actually. Let's push. He's got to go back now, which he's done. So can I get any of these pawns? Knight up is... Oh, knight up here is a move, actually. If he takes, I just go here. So knight up and we get the pawns. I want the advanced pawn, not the back pawn. And if he pushes, I just take it. If he takes here, I'm just going to push on and queen the following move. That's the pawn we need, though. And then he takes him longer to get a new queen. So if he takes, I take with a check. And then I drop back and I try and sack here, right? So check. And I'm probably going to try and sack here and keep this one held up. But I'll still need 2 moves to get my king here. Okay, so here, take, take. And then he needs 1, 2, 3, 8 moves. 1, 2. Yeah, I must be better. Must be better just to sack the knight here. I could actually sack it on the following move. I don't have to do it this next move. So king up first, then sack as soon as his king moves and his pawn can run. Okay, he's gone there. Now, do I need to keep this pawn? It probably makes sense. Then it slows this down for 1 move. Right, now we have to take. So here he needs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 moves he needs. So if I go here, they move somewhere here. We take. I need 1, 2, 3, just 5 moves, don't it? It must be right to step in and just push. It's cleanly winning. No pre-moves. He might throw a move like this in, so no pre-moves, but our pawn is further up the board. It should be a win. We just have to try and get round the back here. I think we've done that. We throw a check in, we come behind the pawn. Poof, we managed to calculate it correctly. Thankfully we calculated it correctly. So let's see how we actually played it, see if we've got any early blunders and so on. So make sure we don't start another game. We have 59 moves, so they're the move times for both players there. Let's just see what it was in engine language, and if we have indeed blundered, especially in the opening. That's what we want to try and learn from. You see, the ending's a little bit up and down here, so there are mistakes here, but it's not bad. As long as you're converting without blundering it away, that's what you need. And of course, we won an early pawn, so we just want to see if we've blundered otherwise. Wow, we played 97% versus 92% on the accuracy, and it's not flagged any bad blunders from either side. So it's a little bit up and down here out of the opening C. So we've gone a little bit down over having gained that early advantage, and then it's just changed again and we've converted it well. But see, it's not flagged any bad blunders from either of us there. So let's just see. So we're just trying to develop castle and worry about what to do. We played C5 instead of C6 this time. Just that little bit more attacking. And we've got an isolated pawn to target. So that was an inaccuracy there to come forward. Should have played knight to C3 instead and just developed the two knights. So that's what we've done here. And here we should have dropped the knight back instead of taking the bishop. So now we've got the isolated pawn, which we've managed to win. We're just then trying to develop our pieces. And as soon as we get attacked here, we trade the rook off so we don't lose it. Now here, yeah, I should have developed the rook immediately instead of countering this pawn. You can just see the pawn. If you manage to get forward, if you push it again, you don't want to take. And if you push it again, it's a real serious risk. But I should have actually played the rook across first. But we've done that now. And we're still, what, 1.6 better here. So we target the two pawns. And was it right to trade? It was right to trade here because we've broken the pawn structure up. And I've just tried to guard the knight before I move it. And then I've driven his king to the side, and obviously eventually he does find a way to get in, but not until we've managed to win the two pawns. And it's just a race, and we've managed to calculate it, count it correctly. And here I've just made sure I can sack for the outer pawn, and I've just done that counting while I've played the game, and figured that I should be able to get the queen before my opponent doesn't get back, and that's exactly what happened. We come back with a check, we blockade the pawn, and then it's just a case of eventually you'll get your king back, win the pawn, and checkmate. So our level, that was a pretty decent game, so very good.